Hey everybody, welcome to the Gym Range podcast. This is episode 20, I think. I want to say we're at 20 episodes now.
That sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Yeah, sure, we'll roll with it. I'm Carl Heiser, joined by my co-host Alex Cervantes, just off the devastating Duke loss to Virginia in the final seconds.
Ruined my night.
Ruined his night. It's really, really a tough night for Alex. But on the bright side, we're 5 weeks away from
Selection Sunday.
Selection Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Mark your calendars if you haven't already. In anticipation of the bracket,
Oh yeah.
we're going to be going through doing a mini bracketology. We're not going to go through everything. We're just going to do each of our ones, twos, threes, and fours, so our top 16 teams. And then maybe say a little bit about each team and why we have them, where we have them. So Alex, who do you have on your one line right now?
On my one line, I have Gonzaga, Auburn, Purdue, and Kentucky.
Kentucky. Okay.
I do have Kentucky.
Kentucky's an interesting one because I think that's maybe not one most people would put on their one. So why do you have Kentucky on your one line?
Well, I feel like to a certain extent, I have to back up what I said like two or 3 weeks ago when we were going over who we trust most in the SEC, and I said Kentucky, even though like my brain was like, nah, man, it's Auburn. And like still, Auburn hasn't dropped the game since the UConn. They beat Kentucky, granted without Ty Washington, so maybe a tad of an asterisk, but I have Kentucky over both like Houston, Kansas, and Arizona in that sense. Maybe it's a tad reactionary to like what I'm seeing from the Arizona State score right now, which is kind of scaring me. But I just think on the form Kentucky's in right now, they're gonna end up as a 1 seed, so that's what I'm predicting.
Okay, so it's a little bit of projection.
It's a little bit of like a projection.
Okay, because do you expect them to win the SEC?
I don't know if I.
Because if they win the SEC tournament, I think I'd agree with you that they get bumped up to a 1.
Yeah, Kentucky's got those 2 losses, so I don't think they're gonna win the regular season, unless Auburn, like they actually like kind of collapse what we've seen in the Missouri and Georgia games. But they absolutely like we could see Kentucky Auburn SEC championship. So we'd be blessed with that. I think it'd be similar to like when we had like 2019 with like Duke, Carolina, Virginia.
Yeah.
Like regardless, I think those 2 are probably going to end up on the one line.
Mm-hmm. Based on Auburn's schedule from here on
yes.
out, I do think it's their conference to lose at this point.
I mean they're traveling to Arkansas on Tuesday. They're going to Knoxville to play Tennessee. That's really it.
Other than that, yeah.
You got Starkville, Mississippi State in March. So you'll drop one because you will.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you drop one, you still win it.
Yeah.
You drop 2, you still win it, actually. So.
Yeah, because they're up.
Tiebreaker.
Yeah, they get the tiebreaker over Kentucky. So some of your other ones, you had Gonzaga and Auburn, correct?
Correct. I had
Purdue, the other one.
Yes, I had Gonzaga 1, Auburn 2, Purdue 3, Kentucky 4. Those are the order.
I share your thoughts that Gonzaga is 1.
We've talked about this.
We have talked about this. Like Field 68 had it spot on, where Gonzaga is somehow underrated. They're just as good, if not better, relative to the rest of the country as they were last year, and nobody seems to care, and I don't know why.
And listen, Auburn beat Alabama, and Alabama beat Gonzaga. So I get that from Auburn fans. I'm not trying to slide Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Mark Few, everyone said it. Mark Few is starting to figure out how to use Chet Holmgren. Enough said.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Mm-hmm. And if you really want to use Alabama as your like transitive team to go through, that's pretty flimsy to me. Like, they're all over the place. My ones were Gonzaga, Auburn, Arizona, and Purdue.
I can accept that.
The third one. Arizona, I have been a little nervous with them from time to time, but at the end of the day, they have the results. They're,
Yep.
you know, I think if they win the Pac-12, they're one. They only have the 2 losses.
Yeah.
Um,
I assume they pick up like a third. I think it's kind of naive for us to like expect that they just all these teams went out. So
no, you're right. That's a very
no,
fair point. That's a very fair point.
and it'll be reactionary. Like
Mhm.
I love Field of 68. I'm not trying to call them out here, but like a lot of the content is like today this team can win the national title, and then it's like 3 days later, like Kentucky's the most on form team in the country, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're sleeping on Illinois, like you know.
Mhm.
So again, like we can even point to Duke. Like everyone's like, oh, Duke, like look at this, and then you go and lay an effort egg against
Yeah.
Virginia.
hmm And I
So
understand. I understand the recency bias, right? Because like the teams that
we
we're
have to have
watching
it.
now, the teams we're watching now are not the same teams that we were watching a month ago. But at the same time, like it's the body of work. It's even though teams have gotten better or worse over the last couple months, like what we saw a month or two ago, they're still capable of putting up results like that. That's not just like completely lost to the past, I don't think.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah, on any given night, like that's just college basketball, any given night.
And I think there are
Um,
6 teams that can get a 1 seed at this point, maybe 7.
who are
But
your who are your other three? Because I'm guessing they would be on your 2 line.
they are going to be my 2 lines, so we
Yeah.
can.
Are
Yeah.
there is there anything you want to say about any of the ones we didn't really talk about? Purdue.
I mean, Purdue right now. Again, we know kind of the question mark that'll remain is their defense, which can be extremely lackadaisical at points. So, um, maybe you trust the Illinois, the Michigan States more come March, but I think body of work right now, plus just the talent they have, that's where I have them, and I think that's probably why you have them too. No,
Yeah, that's.
yeah,
I mean, up to this point, I'd say they've been pretty fortunate that their defense hasn't been. I mean, it's teams have taken advantage of the fact that their defense isn't that good, but I don't
yeah.
think we've
Indiana,
seen.
Rutgers, yeah,
Yeah, like I don't think we've seen a team because like all their losses are close. They have 3 losses. All of them are by like 5 or less, I think. So
yeah,
their offense is good enough to hang with teams like anybody. They've
yep.
probably arguably the best offense in the country.
It is
Um,
probably
yeah,
maybe Gonzaga.
but yeah, their defense like sitting at 106 on Ken Palm, that's well outside the championship parameters.
Yes,
Well outside. So that's
would
something.
really open things up if we continue to use that barometer for national championships. If they were
Oh
able
yeah,
to pull that off,
it's true.
because
Yeah,
that list would get massive. Top
that'd
40
be
in offensive efficiency, top 106 in defense.
that'd be insane.
Yeah,
Yeah, but once they run into a really good coach in the tournament, I think that's when I would start to be a little like, okay, they could. This is a game they could lose.
that's the thing about this tournament, though. There's so many teams. You're going to run into a good coach by the round of 32, Sweet 16. You're going to run into a good team by the Sweet 16,
Yeah.
like a really good team. So,
Yeah. So, but they for right now, yeah, they're on the one, and
yeah.
I don't, I'm not even like super confident they'll win the Big Ten tournament, but I think right now I'd say they're the best team in the Big Ten. So I think that's a 1 seed.
Mm-hmm. It
Um,
is.
yeah. So let's move on to the twos. Who are the 3 teams that you said you think could be on that one line?
So Arizona sits at 5 for me. Then it's
Mhm.
Kansas at 6, and this one's kind of like, um, it's kind of like they need other. It's like Cincinnati in the CFP. They need other things to happen for them to get it. But Houston,
Okay. Nice.
yep,
I like the Houston respect because I think if they're in any other conference, and this is not to hate on Houston, but
yeah.
if they're in another conference, they don't have the record that they have with
No,
all
they
the with
don't.
all the injuries that they've been hit with. I think being fair requires that we look at both the good and the bad, and
But
so
I don't think it's drastic. The way
no,
they play defense, like the
yeah,
way they play.
hmm no, they've
Um,
still looked they've still looked very good. They've still looked
yeah,
very good, but I'm looking forward to seeing them against one of these like other teams that we're talking about, um, because Houston still is the type of team that can see a Power 5 school in the round of 32 and still not have too much of an issue with them.
mhm.
But once we start getting into those like 16 teams, then it's like, all right, they could start to have some issues.
Yep.
His injuries can
Oh,
bite them.
and then my fourth number 2 was Illinois.
Okay.
And they have a path to a number 1.
Mhm.
I just think it's less, even like with some of their losses, like it's
Mhm.
less of a path than what Houston has. Like Illinois probably can't take more than like a loss or 2.
Yeah.
Then they probably have to run it in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
Then they get that 1.
Illinois is one of those teams that I think we have them this high. I don't have them as a 2. I have them as my first 3.
Okay, that's fine.
But I think they're up here based on their play of late because they're definitely on the upswing.
They are.
They have the recent loss to Maryland, but Kofi wasn't playing.
Nope.
But their
So,
guard play has been great. When Kofi's
yep.
in, he's been phenomenal.
Frazier, Plummer, DeMonte Williams, the production he just gives you and just effort.
Mhm.
I mean, Grandison too. Like, and now you got Corbella coming off the bench. So, I mean, that's one of the most lethal top 6s in the country.
Yeah. So coming back from injury, Corbella has not looked great. In the Maryland game specifically, he did not play well.
Mhm.
But you have to think that he like gets a little better, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Mhm.
But yeah, Illinois. I mean, they just went on the road to Indiana and won by like 17, which is not an easy thing to do. One of the toughest. No matter how good Indiana is, it's I think one of the toughest environments.
It's a tough environment.
Yeah,
It's a tough environment.
So that's a very impressive result from them. But my 2s in order were Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, and Texas Tech.
Oh, you're keeping Duke. I dropped them.
I'm
So,
keeping Duke in because I think that Gonzaga win really helps them.
yep.
They only have what did we say, 4 losses?
They have 4 losses by 9 points total.
So it's Gonzaga, Virginia.
The loss,
Yeah.
they didn't lose to Gonzaga. They beat Gonzaga.
Oh, that's what I mean. That's what my bad.
So the losses are Virginia. We're recording this Monday night. It's Monday. Florida State on the road, Miami at home by 2, and Ohio State on the road by 5. That was in November.
Yeah. So none of those I would necessarily say are like horrible. I mean, the Virginia one's bad, but
the Virginia one's bad. Again, it's the same problems.
It's understandable.
It's understandable because you had the 48 turnaround from Duke, Carolina, that like you won by 20, you drubbed Carolina in the Dean Dome.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just felt like I couldn't stand up here and like complain the way I did to you before we started recording and then be like, Duke's a number 2. Yeah. So
hey, props to you for being consistent.
Thank you. I'm trying to be. I can be very inconsistent.
Here's my question for you is how do you look at this? Like if you're looking at their resume, where do you put this Carolina just absolute demolition of Carolina that they just had? Because Carolina is like right now they're probably a bubble team, but at the same
they are a bubble team.
At the same time, it's on the road against your biggest rival. So like from that standpoint, like it almost doesn't matter.
I think people give enough weight to the rivalry that they won't care, and I think the way Duke dismantled Carolina from the jump.
Yeah.
And it's in similar ways to how Virginia just kind of made Duke play the way they wanted to play on tonight. So you're going to look at that and just kind of, that's your kind of barometer. So, yeah.
I mean, who are we kidding? Like you beat any team by 20, that's a good win.
Exactly. But still, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really like 27, and then UNC had some like garbage time buckets when, Coach K subbed his grandson in, which might be the most petty thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. What are our thoughts on Kansas right now? Because that Baylor win
and the Kentucky loss.
Looking at the Kentucky loss, like it's I don't know. That Baylor win though, I was sitting in a restaurant and the game was on TV. And I like did a double take because I was so shocked that they were winning. They were winning by like 35 when I looked. It was insane.
Yeah.
Baylor's on this list. I'll get to Baylor eventually.
We'll get to Baylor for sure.
That's such a crazy result to me.
It's not normal
to win that game. It's not. And that's when we talk about preseason, like we had Kansas as our preseason.
We did.
Champion.
We did.
Both of us did. And
Ochai Agbaji, National Player of the Year.
Yeah. Lately, or maybe over the whole season, they haven't necessarily looked as dominant as maybe we wanted them to.
No.
But that's the Kansas team that wins the national championship.
Yes, it
And
is.
I don't want to be too like, oh, like, see, they won by 35, like they're national title contenders. But that's kind of what we hoped they would be. Is that
And
kind
if
of team.
and if we want to be super dramatic, that
Yeah.
Kentucky loss is when we go, wow, why are we trusting Kansas? They just lost in the Sweet 16.
Yeah. Sure.
So if we're really trying to be sporadic like that, those are the polar ends of
Yeah.
Kansas basketball.
Right. But
Also,
even
credit to Kentucky for that demolition.
well, credit to Kentucky, but also Kentucky. I don't even know if I mean that's probably an Elite Eight loss.
Yeah, maybe.
Because we
I
both
was just
have,
saying that because of the weight of the 2 threes we're gonna have.
yeah.
So that kind of, if you go chalk, yeah, that's where I was at.
Yeah, I got you. Anybody else we talk about? Texas Tech. I have them in here because I think I trust them. I trust them more than Baylor. I had to bump Baylor down after this Kansas loss. I think that's only fair. They've lost like 3 of their last 5, I think.
Yep.
Texas Tech has probably the best wins in the country, I think. If you just look at their wins, nobody else has the wins that they have.
They don't. There are some teams that like had better quad one records, but yeah, Texas Tech has some amazing wins.
Yeah, but the quad one is
Yeah,
like
it's all
top
relative.
50, right?
It's top 30 at home, top 75 on the road.
Okay. So, and I'm sure that within those parameters, there's probably some teams that you're like, I don't know how that's like a quad one. So, I don't know. I don't even necessarily look at that. I just look at like we can even go through it. I mean even the West Virginia win on the road is a good win. They beat Texas by 13. Beat Iowa State. That's a ranked win. Beat Baylor at Baylor. Beat Kansas by 8. Like, so. And then did they have an early season? I feel like they had an early season. They beat Tennessee.
Yep. Oh, that was ugly. I remember us recording after that game.
That was a gross game.
That was gross. That was heinous.
Really bad. And I don't think you can look at any of their losses and say like that's a really bad loss.
Yeah.
Providence, Gonzaga, Iowa State, Kansas. Would you say Kansas State is a bad loss?
I don't really know what to make of the Big 12 anymore. They're just going to beat up on each other. I don't know if anything's a bad loss in the Big 12, unless you get massacred.
Maybe not. Like Baylor just did.
But again, then you could argue, well, it's Fog Allen. It's number 10 Kansas. Like, is it really that bad?
It's true. I don't know if that's worth like 30 points though.
Yeah.
Either way, I still have Kansas as my top 2.
Either way,
so
yes.
It clearly didn't matter that much.
Yes.
Because maybe before that, I even. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that gave them a bump in my eyes or if I would have had them anyway. But anyway.
Yeah. Number threes?
Yeah, who you got for your threes?
All right. I've got Duke at 9. A little bit of a homer pick. I still think Duke is at its peak, one of the most talented teams in the country.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that against North Carolina. We've seen it early in the season. They've kind of lost it a bit. You saw it kind of against Wake. But Virginia took AJ Griffin out of the game. And that's kind of if that's how you're going to beat Duke, you take away that second option because Keels and Wendell Moore can kind of shoot themselves both out of a game.
Yeah.
Which happened tonight. Like Keels was trying to just get to the rim. It was like 3 for 13 from the field or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the recipe for success against Duke. So I'm still going 9 Duke just for like the talent level, Coach K last season, all that kind of stuff that they're going to factor in.
Yeah.
The other 3, Texas Tech, for all the reasons you talked about, I just had them a little lower because I was higher on Illinois and kind of like Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Tech obviously could be a 2 though. Like if anyone's going to make that jump, it's going to be Texas Tech soon. Then Baylor, and then this was tough. Recency bias kind of plagued me, and you can criticize me for that Duke take too, but I went Wisconsin here instead of UCLA.
Okay.
So I went Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Johnny Davis, Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah, my threes. I have Illinois at 9. We kind of talked about them a little bit. Just when they have Kofi and when their guards are on, like I don't know,
Yeah, they're
just some about them, and they're on the upswing for sure.
they're just really good.
Yeah. I still have Baylor at 10, even with their recent struggles, because we were saying even a couple weeks ago, like they could repeat. So I don't want to just forget that because
Yeah.
they struggled lately. Like they were still capable of doing that. So they're on my 3 line. I have Villanova at 11.
Yep.
Which like they're the type of 3 to me that like you look at on your bracket and then you look at who the 6 is and you're like, that's a game they might lose.
Yeah.
Then I have Houston at 12.
Oh wow.
Because,
Okay.
because I'm impressed with the job that Kelvin Sampson has done, but quad 1 they're 2-2.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. I was just maybe I'm a little ambitious, but
I think they deserve to be rewarded for the season that they've had.
I'm in a very rewarding and not rewarding mood at the same time with some of these teams.
Yeah. I mean they're 4th in Ken Palm, like
Exactly.
and I said on the record a couple weeks ago I thought they would fall off, and they haven't. So
They haven't.
some of the other teams we've talked about as teams that would fall off have fallen off, but Houston isn't one of them. So
No.
there you go. Yeah, we've talked about Illinois, Baylor, Houston, Villanova. Do you have anything on Villanova?
I mean, I was gonna get to them when
Okay.
they're the first team on my 4 line.
Okay. Then
Like,
who is the 3 that we haven't?
I had
the 3 that we haven't talked about yet.
I had UCLA, recency bias plaguing me again. Providence, I had 15. Again, one of those teams you got to reward. There's a lot of national skepticism about them. You gotta give credit where credit's due to Ed Cooley. They're winning games. It's not pretty. They're often close. They're gonna play Villanova, I think, over the weekend. So we're gonna know then. But they're 20-2. Have one of the best, if not the best, like quad 1 record if you're just looking at the net in the country. Got to reward Fire Nation.
Yeah.
And then 16, I kind of wrestled with. It would have been much easier had Michigan State not lost by 21 to Rutgers.
Yeah.
I dropped them. And I'm leading Ohio State because of EJ Liddell. I still have questions about like front court size.
Yeah.
But I watched them beat Duke. So again, that like has me not worried.
Yeah.
The other one was Marquette, but I think I'm gonna have Marquette as like that 1st or 2nd, 5th seed.
Yes. Okay.
So I've Ohio State 16.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you. So my 4s were Wisconsin.
Okay, that's fine. Yep.
Because even though the analytics say otherwise, I think at some point you have to throw that out the window and just say they're 20-2. And
even for Wisconsin too.
Yeah, even for Wisconsin too. So at some point I do think you have to throw that out the window a little bit and say like they're getting the results, and I think a 4 seed is fair for a team that's 1st in the Big East.
Yep.
Especially when we have Villanova above them still. So it's like UCLA at 15, which is maybe a little low for them, but it's just
the Arizona State loss.
It's on brand, and that loss that they just had was
bad,
real bad. Like
also Arizona very well. I mean, Bobby Hurley's got them up too. So
yeah, that was not an ideal win against or loss against Arizona State. And then 16, I was in the same boat as you, where I was trying to pick between Michigan State, Marquette, Ohio State, and I went with Ohio State.
Yep.
Which something that I kind of ran into making this list was like the first 15 teams. I was like, yeah, they're in the 15. And then once I got to that 16th spot, I was like, I don't know like who goes here.
Yep.
And it's weird because like that's not really a spot that matters too much to me. Like we're saying that they're the worst team on this list, essentially, is what we're saying. And that was like the hardest one for me to figure out who that team is. But I did go with Ohio State because that Rutgers loss from Michigan State.
Bad taste in my mouth.
Didn't love it. They were
Plus,
close.
some of like Bingham, like the locker room issues seem to be an issue.
Why do you say that?
I don't know, just like some of the like it's a while ago, but like Izzo like going in on Bingham at like a press conference.
Mhm.
Like I don't watch Spartan hoops like that, but I don't know. I don't feel like you should be dogging your dudes at a press conference.
True. I mean, that's some of the like. I don't know. A lot of that is like culture thing, like a
That's
culture.
just Izzo. I know, but
Some of that's just Izzo. He's pretty intense.
still,
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I
yeah.
ended up putting Ohio State in there because I think for me it was between Ohio State and Marquette. I think I would also put Marquette maybe as that first five. Because I've been very impressed with Marquette, especially lately.
They've been on it.
They've been on it.
Shaka Smart might make a run.
He might, well, he's got to win a tournament game first, is what he's got to do, because he didn't do that at Texas.
Nah,
He
I
hasn't done that.
believe
He hasn't done that since VCU.
exactly.
It's just crazy. But
Everything's bigger in Texas, including the tournament L's.
yeah, and that's well. What sucks though is that if we're putting them on the 5 line, and we're kind of getting away from our list, but I don't really care. If we're putting them on the 5 line, they're going to run into one of those like top of the line mid-major teams. You know, like they're going to run into like a Wyoming or something,
Oh,
which would
cool.
Wyoming
I'm not sure I legitimately would take anyone over Wyoming in that first game.
Wyoming might be higher than that. Maybe that's not giving Wyoming too much credit, but like
Probably
my
not.
point
No, I
stands.
get it. I get it.
Yeah.
What if like Colorado State sneaks in as like an at-large at the 12?
That's the thing. Like if they're that 5, like I like Marquette, but I don't know if I like them that much. I don't know if I like them that much.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm ready for the reactionary like Duke takes on Twitter.
Hmm.
Because like I'm not panicking because it's again like you solve the issue. It's the same issue that presents itself. Like
Yeah,
it's rebounding. How do you lose the interior battle of Virginia?
sure.
Yeah, that's enough.
Going back to Duke, this was something I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Is has AJ Griffin replaced Wendell Moore as the X factor for that team?
Okay. So I was listening to T.O. Doster and Fanta for Field of 68 today. AJ Griffin like unlocks the offensive side of the game for Duke.
Mhm.
Because I said it in the preseason, I'm going to continue like back up my take. When Wendell Moore is on, that Duke team is at its best.
Yeah.
Like if he is at his best, getting 12 to 16 and putting your best player through 40 minutes of hell.
Yeah.
Because you need him on that defensive end. Like even he was 0 for 4 before he hit like a little curl 3-pointer on off of a pin down screen, like late in the game too. He was 0 for 4 and like 3 of them were wide open.
Mm-hmm.
But K kept him in because he can play defense. He is that lockdown guy. Whereas like Keels is like more aggressive, but like Keels also gets beat when he tries to jump in and try to grab a steal instead of just staying in front.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Duke's got so many weapons. I still think that like when Wendell is locked in, like you're gonna see Duke at his peak, and you need like Griffin to be able to space the floor, which he didn't do tonight.
Yeah.
So again, like I kind of point to that Gonzaga game when Wendell and Mark Williams, those are like if you can have multiple X factors, like when they're on, Duke's fun.
I mean, that's the thing with Duke is like, other than Paolo, like their whole team is kind of X factors, like, which I don't know how, like it makes sense in my head, and it's kind of
it's not good.
It's hard to articulate why that is.
Yeah.
But they almost have like too many of those guys that like are I don't know. It makes
it's
sense
just funny.
It makes sense in my head, and maybe somebody listening.
It makes sense in my head too. Like I can't explain it. I agree. Like you've got like 1 through 6. They each have a specific role, but they can each like fill the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
But like you also don't want to take away from what the other person does best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you don't really want to go away from Paolo, which happened in the Duke game.
Yes.
Like I get it.
Yeah.
Virginia was doubling Paolo every touch he had in the second because Virginia loves that post double. But he's got it. He didn't take a shot in the second half till that late game.
Yeah.
Heave at the buzzer.
Mhm.
Cannot happen.
Right. And that's a good lesson though, is don't go away from your best guy ever. Like
It's a lesson. It's happened this season, though.
yeah.
It's happened.
That's what happened in the Auburn just had a close game
Yep.
against Georgia.
They went away from Jabari Smith.
They
What
went
are
away
you
from
doing?
Jabari Smith. He had like what, 7 shot attempts or something like that. Like it turned into the Wendell Green and KD Johnson show, which
Yeah.
was fine. Like they won.
It's fun to watch. I love the
Yeah.
energy.
They won the game, right? So it's
All
at
that
the end of the
matters.
day, who cares? But you should not win by 2 points against Georgia. You shouldn't.
We're touting in the Kentucky game. He just goes and gets the ball. He gets it at the elbow and just goes up with it. Just get him the ball.
Mhm.
I don't care if he's doubling him.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if like you got an open back door, obviously, but like get him the ball.
Yeah.
Get
And I
these
don't
guys
know-
the ball.
I don't know if it's because it was Georgia that they're like, we don't need to, force feed Jabari Smith in this game.
No, force feed him.
But no, do it. Like he might be
Yeah,
the number
force
1
feed him.
overall pick in the draft, which I'm still working on my first mock draft. He's not my number 1 overall pick as of right now, but he's in the top 3.
Well,
He's obviously.
if anyone doesn't have him, if anyone doesn't have some combination of Holmgren, Bancaro, and Smith in the top 3, whatever it is, because we're all gonna have different takes, but whatever that is, if you don't, check yourself into a mental
Yeah,
institution.
you can defend any of those guys as the top pick, and I wouldn't look at you weird.
Now we go down that list, I will look at you weird.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Who else do we need to talk about?
No, that I
Let's
mean,
talk
you want
about-
to do some bubble teams or
We can do some bubble teams. Actually, before we do bubble teams, though, let's talk about some of these teams that I mentioned that we talked about them falling off, and they have fallen off.
Arizona's beating Arizona State by 5. By the way,
Okay, I don't see them losing that lead.
yeah, no, and Texas is beating Kansas
Oh,
by 5.
interesting.
Chris Beard sneaking onto the 4 line.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Chris Beard making his case late for. Well, I've said this to you. I'm nervous about Kansas just a little bit, and I had the
Well,
TikTok about
aren't
this.
we all?
I'm nervous about them a little bit because Agbaji's that dude,
He is.
but you're not gonna win.
No.
He's not that dude that like can actually carry the entire team through the conference tournament, through the national tournament. That's just not. It's not sustainable. It's not gonna work. Because you run into somebody who can guard him, take him out, and then it's
Maybe
like,
not. You can't really take him out, but like
No.
you can hold.
you can limit him. You
can limit him.
though.
Yep.
There's definitely ways you can limit him, and then you leave it to
Christian Braun, you leave it to
McCormick.
maybe
who has a
Remy Martin,
great-
but
who-
he
Remy
may not.
Martin.
Harris. I mean, Harris isn't going to do it.
That's the thing. Like who's the guy that steps up, and that's the benefit of having the
Jalen
X
Wilson?
factors. That's the good side of having a lot of X factors. Like with Duke,
Yes,
where it's
got a
like,
lot of bucket getters.
all right, they took Palo out. That's fine.
Here's
Get
AJ. Here's
AJ Griffin on the elbow. Here's Wendell Moore just creating for everybody.
Trevor Keels going downhill with his right hand.
Here's
because,
Keels deciding he wants to be a point guard and dishing out 5 assists. Like,
yeah,
yeah. So
Illinois,
a lot of weaknesses.
like it's different. Like both Kofi and Ochai have other people make plays for them.
Mhm,
Kofi's also 7 foot, maybe pushing 300.
mhm.
It's all muscle.
Yeah.
So you can't really take Kofi out of a game. But even if you do, you got to watch Plummer. You got to watch Grandison. You got to watch Frazier. Carbelo's going to come off the bench. Like it's these elite teams.
Mhm.
Kentucky, we've spoken about them. Purdue has like 3 All-Americans if they were all, could share the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
Gonzaga's Gonzaga.
Mhm.
Auburn's Auburn. Like those elite teams have 4 guys you can go to that you're like, he can get a bucket.
Sure. Yeah. I just want to highlight the teams that we were not super excited about that have fallen off. LSU's not even ranked anymore.
They're not. Still, metrics love them, but metrics also love Virginia Tech.
Metrics love LSU because their defense is so good.
Yep. Got to score the ball.
You could argue USC maybe hasn't fallen off, but they've shown their true colors.
How about Arkansas, though?
As far
That's a
as when
team
they
we
were-
written off.
we yeah, we had written them off. They were I guess based on votes, they're 27 now. Like they look like they're a tournament team, I think. I think they're back. I think they're back in the conversation.
Oh, they're definitely in the conversation. You know what they did? They blew out Georgia.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, I had to say it. They're playing tomorrow.
That's true.
Auburn, Arkansas tomorrow.
Looking at these rankings, Murray State
Love them.
finally getting some respect. Finally getting some respect.
Love them.
I think I'm off the rank Colorado State train because I now completely understand why they aren't ranked.
Yeah.
Now looking at the Mountain West, there's 3 other teams that have emerged as like, oh,
You're good.
They're also very good.
Mountain West 4-bid conference.
And that's not even including like Fresno State either, who's also not a
Really
bad
good
team. So I understand now why Colorado State isn't ranked because these other teams have emerged and kind of taken over. You have Boise State, SDSU, and Wyoming, who I think the Mountain West should be a 4-bid league. I want to see all these teams in March because they all do something different extremely well.
I want to see some like absolute. I expect chaos in that conference tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, because Utah State and Fresno State could steal that bid, and then you're looking at, well, who are we keeping out?
Yeah, right. That's knocking somebody out. So who's it going to be?
It's probably San Diego State.
I would agree because while their defense is absolutely disgusting, they can't score. So like it's going to be a 45-40 game, and that's not like not only it can be effective, but it's also just like not fun to watch. Like you look at these games, you're like that was an ugly game, that was an ugly game, that was an ugly game, because that's just how they win. Like they grind it out, they win these slow, low scoring games, and it works. And I think they should be in the tournament, but I would have them as my 4th best team in the Mountain West. Yeah. And I think it hurts them to have Boise State there too, because Boise State is one of these teams that is also very good defensively, but they have a much better offense than San Diego State does. So it kind of just hurts them, like in terms, like when you compare the two, it's like, okay, like San Diego State is not as good as Boise State. At least in my estimation, that's how I view it. But yeah, that conference tournament's gonna be fun. Oh, I don't even. Yeah, I'd say Wyoming is definitely the favorite as of right now. But
gotta be EK and Maldonado. Yeah.
Learn their names.
So
St. Mary's has quietly climbed up
22
into the top 25.
We've got 2 Gonzaga St. Mary's matchups in the next like 3 weeks. Saturday too. Spokane. Take Gonzaga spread right now.
Yeah. I mean, Gonzaga's like just running a lot. Like BYU is a team that's usually competitive with them, and it was not close.
That was sad. I was watching that.
Not close.
Yeah. They're just filthy.
I don't know what it is with them. I don't know what it is. Pope usually does a really good job. And I think that I don't think this roster is that bad. Like you got Barcelo back, so I don't really know what the problem is.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, here's a question. Do you take San Francisco over BYU right now?
Yes.
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 Okay. Because I don't know that the WCC is getting 4. I think they might get 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3 at this point.
Yeah.
Well, Gonzaga's are obviously a lock. Then it's just up to St. Mary's and San Francisco.
Right. To not lose to the Portlands and the Pepperdimes of the world. So,
yep.
Yeah. Which I don't think they will, but you never know.
Truly.
I mean, yeah, what are some bubble teams that you wanted to touch on?
I mean, you got to do UNC first, right?
Yeah. Because
16-0, 16 to go. I mean, listen, you could like set it up like 0-7 against quad one teams or whatever, but you could just literally say 0-7 versus good teams, 16-0 versus bad teams.
they're a true bubble team. They're as bubble as it gets.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All my friends I grew up with go to UNC. Getting texts from them now. I'm glad they're vicariously living through Virginia,
Mhm.
winning a game. But like, don't know what it is. I mean, we know what it is, but like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess that's more my
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know
We
why.
know the what. I want to know the why.
Yes.
Why? Why do you have such a short bench? Even with Garcia absent.
Mhm.
Why are your guards not playing defense? Shout out T.O. in Field of 68. When
Mhm.
UNC gets punched in the mouth, they don't punch back.
No, they don't. They fold. That's what they do.
Really quickly.
Really quickly.
Major concern.
No, it is a concern. And we've been saying, I think you brought this point up, but when it comes to these bubble teams, it's hard because they've been a bubble team for a little bit now.
Yep.
It's hard to keep like the big brands out. But
It is. We
but the
talked
way
about this.
but the way things are going, Carolina's putting way too much faith in their brand to get them in. Like they have 0 quad one wins, which like, we joke about the quad one wins and losses and
Yep.
Say everything is a quad one loss, but at the end of the day, like you broke it down perfectly. Like they have not beaten a good team.
Yeah.
And they're running out of time and
Opportunities.
and opportunities because the ACC.
Actually,
I don't
well, let me
know.
change that. The ACC doesn't have an opportunity. You have one opportunity. It's in March.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's that Duke game at Cameron on ESPN, March 5th. And then after that, you lose that game, conference tournament. It's like
If you lose that game,
if
I
you
don't
lose
know.
that game, which like if they accumulate, like if they beat Florida State, if they beat Virginia Tech on the road, that's an encouraging sign.
I think that Virginia Tech win does a lot. The Monday game though against Syracuse at the end of this month though, again, it's that like you're looking ahead to your rivalry. You're not looking at that Monday Tuesday game.
Mm-hmm.
That's one I'd have circled if I'm Hubert Davis, especially with Syracuse finding their groove. They're 6-6 in the ACC now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Especially with, I mean, gosh, you should stick Buddy. I mean, the amount of pick and rolls just for Gerard and Boeheim for
Mm-hmm.
Buddy that they do, and UNC doesn't defend those well,
Yeah.
could be a nightmare.
And I think we both believe that Duke is far and away the best team in this conference, but the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams are separated by a game right now. Unless what
Yep.
I'm looking at like hasn't
No, you're
updated
right.
after
You're right.
unless it just hasn't updated after this Virginia game, but
No, it's updated.
UNC, the thing though, it's not great that they don't play any good teams really until March. But if they're racking up these wins and finishes like a top 2 team in the regular season, then like
Ironically, though, that's the thing I kind of pointed to when I did the preview of them in the fall. Like my like joke was that they were blessed with all these games at home and spared the Duke game. They've been winning them, but like they have not had to travel for these tougher contests in the ACC, which is ironically hurting their resume.
Yeah.
Because now they can't rack up a win against like UVA and Charlottesville. I don't know. Did they play UVA in Charlottesville? I'll check that.
Yeah, you can check that.
They did not.
They did. Oh, so much for that.
Anyway.
Okay.
So yeah.
Other teams. How about Oregon? What do you think about Oregon?
What do I think about Oregon?
Because they are much improved from early in the season.
Tied for second in the Pac-12.
Hmm.
Shout out Washington State though. Team we rode off 7-3 in the Pac-12. Anyway, Oregon.
Sweet 16 team. I tried to tell you. They're not making.
You got a Bob Cousy watch list member in Richardson. Which is he really a point guard? Anyway.
Yeah.
Um.
He's not Peyton Pritchard, I can tell you that.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I think they're in. I think Dana Alman gets them in.
Yeah.
The resume in the early losses never gonna help.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that BYU one.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm looking at this now. Stanford at home, you should win. Cal, you should blow out. Washington State at home, and you should go on the road and beat Arizona State. So that's 6 consecutive wins this month.
Mm-hmm.
Then you travel to Arizona. You got UCLA at home, and you got USC at home at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we generically say that'll tell us a lot about this team. We kind of know what Oregon is. That'll more so tell us, are you in?
Yeah.
You get even one of those, you should be fine.
Mm-hmm. Having a coach like Dana Altman is almost a case like in and of itself, I think, because you don't want to keep the brands out, but also you have these coaches who like make their name in March.
Absolutely.
And, so I was kind of thinking this like, and I don't know that I would make this argument necessarily, but I think if Roy Williams is still at Carolina, I think they have a better case
Than Hubert Davis.
Just by virtue of having Roy Williams there. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's not as
I don't know if you're wrong.
big of a factor as I think it is, but like psychologically, like that definitely does something. Like it's Roy Williams versus like
it does.
Hubert Davis. Like Hubert Davis, jury's still out on what he's going to do with this program, but like doesn't really move the needle for me a ton.
Yep.
Because he doesn't have that reputation yet. That's all it is. So, Loyola Chicago has kind of fallen off.
They have. I still think they're gonna. That's another bid Steeler conference. If they don't, they're gonna be sweating it out on Selection Sunday. Maybe if they drop another one or two.
I mean,
that Missouri State win yesterday though, has me a little more confident.
Yeah.
I mean, I was obviously confident. They're the best team in that conference.
Right.
But it's just one of those like you drop one or two, right, and then you lose in the semifinals or maybe even the championship, and then you're like, wow, you have good non-conference losses. Does the respect get you in?
Right. Because are we saying that's probably a one bid?
Yeah, the Missouri Valley. If they don't win it,
like them and Missouri State aren't both getting in. It's going to be one of them.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Northern Iowa too, sleeper. They were like 9-3. Yeah. I got a couple more.
Yeah. What do you got?
Oklahoma.
I would have them out.
I can understand that.
I said that way too quickly. I'd say
that's fine.
But maybe that is the best. Maybe that is the best. Like just knee jerk. Like what do I think? So I guess I would have them out. I don't know.
Well, knee jerk tells you a lot.
It does. So. My knee jerk was no. So.
Creighton. I love them. This is hard.
I've been thinking about that for actually a while because I'm going to say yes.
I can get behind that.
I think they get in still.
5-5, 13-8. Got some good wins.
Yeah, some losses that like the thing with them is like they get a big win and then their very next game they lose by like 25. It's like
got swept by Xavier.
Yeah.
Lost by 17 to Butler.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like they have this kind of stuff on their resume that looks so bad. But then they have that Villanova win where they won by like, 20 plus. So Yeah, they're all over the place. That's kind of what bubble teams are though. At the end of the day, is like they have the
Yeah.
good wins, they have the bad losses. So it's like,
What
what do
are
you,
you?
what do you value? What are you? Yeah,
Yeah, what are you? What's
yeah.
your merit? Okay. Got like two more if you want them. Three
Hmm.
more. I don't know.
Go for it.
I'm gonna just say all three and then you can let me know. Actually, I might go four. Florida, St. Louis, Dayton, Mississippi State.
Florida, no.
Agree.
I just don't see it. I don't even know that I'd put them.
On the bubble?
I don't even know that I'd have them on the bubble. Like
Okay.
there's way more teams that I think I would consider over them.
Of
So,
merit? Okay.
um, you said I have to look at the state of the A10 right now.
I
Because
just want to see Yuri Collins play in the tournament. Leading assist man in the country. Like
yeah,
snub Bob Cousy list. Massive snub.
um, Dayton is a very interesting one to me. I'm going to talk about them first because you said St. Louis as well. Well, for what it's worth, St. Louis beat Dayton by 11
Mhm.
um, this past week, 2 days ago. So there's that. But then Dayton has these like, I mean, Dayton has the wins over Miami,
Kansas.
Kansas, and Belmont,
They
and
have the losses like we talked about.
they have losses that are
UMass Lowell.
horrible, horrible, horrible. Which maybe those kind of fade away because they were so early in the season. But
Again,
like,
though, that's the thing, though. That's the tricky thing about this. You take Dayton and they're a bubble team. You're like, well, it's not November anymore. The loss at Lipscomb and UMass Lowell, they figured themselves out. But
mhm,
then you're like, Duke's opening night win against Kentucky, that has merit. Like that's kind of where like that confusion arises because it's totally hypocritical.
no,
And I'm not like that's not an attack on you, but like that's like
no,
more attack
I
on like
totally get what
everything.
you're saying. I totally
Yeah.
get what you're saying.
Like I don't think you can have one without the other. Like we got to make up our
Yeah,
mind.
no,
And I
you're right.
get like it's two separate things.
Yeah,
Like a loss to Lipscomb to like your second game of the season is much different than playing in Madison Square Garden. But still,
yeah. Looking at Dayton, I mean, they have an 18-point win over St. Bonaventure, which at this point is kind of meaningless, but we did think St. Bonaventure was going to be really good, and they're not. They just beat VCU by 30, and that's not
VCU
something
bubble team.
that VCU bubble team. So I'd say, I'd say taking the good with the bad. I still think I'd put Dayton in. I'd still put Dayton in, and I think if I do that, I think I also might have to throw St. Louis in there too.
Maybe not. I don't think you get. I don't think the A10 gets like
You don't think so? I mean, in the
all of
standings,
those.
St. Louis is second in the
They're
conference.
neck and neck. I get that. I don't think they get like four.
Well, I do put Dayton in though because one of the teams they're neck and neck with they beat by 30 points.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
I I would put Dayton in. Which the A10 is like low key, like kind of fun. Like George Mason in there at 4-4, like not a bad team. Uh, St. Bonaventure 4-4. Um, yeah, I don't know. It is kind of it's a little bit of a fun league. I don't know. And then who's that last one? Mississippi State.
Yeah, I just want to see him in.
Man, it pains me that I'd put them in over Florida. I don't know that I want them in. So you know what? I don't even care if they should be. I want them in. So there you go. There's my thought. Here's one for you: Florida State.
Duke win looks great. You lost what, two or three straight?
Right,
Now
yeah,
you're
right when it
yeah,
looked like they're starting to turn the corner, they started
three
losing.
straight. Lost to Clemson, Wake, yeah. No, four straight L's. Georgia Tech by double digits. Horrendous.
Yeah,
Virginia Tech at home by double digits. You don't beat Florida State at home. It's
yeah.
not a bad loss. Clemson, no. Wake Forest. That's fine.
That's fine. That's okay.
You were 6-2, and now you're 6-6. You're tied with Syracuse. Syracuse.
Yeah.
We knew where Syracuse was like 3 weeks ago. What is
Yeah.
happening, Jim? What is happening?
What is happening?
Because of that, I'm going to say no.
I think that's fair. I think the timing of this
The
losing
Duke win isn't going to do him enough.
the timing of this losing streak is one of the most devastating parts of the whole thing because it was right when they looked like they were starting to turn it around. And then we found out very quickly that they were not turning it around. They were still not that great. And I don't know what it's hard to keep up with everybody. So this is one of those where I don't really know what the problem is because Leonard Hamilton he gets it done. So I don't know if it's just I don't know if it's the backcourt. Because I remember entering the season, I was a little bit all right, they got the freshman in the backcourt. I don't know. Yeah, Leonard Hamilton, but yeah, I think the timing of it is really poor, really, really poor. I guess I have 2 more probably for you. West Virginia.
I like Tash Sherman. I don't think they get in.
Yeah. It was a couple weeks ago. It was looking like most of the Big 12 was getting in. But since then, West Virginia, Kansas State have kind of started to come down, and now it's okay, now I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think West Virginia or Kansas State gets in, and that's just kind of how it is. They haven't kept up with the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then my other one for you was Seton Hall. They're a weird one.
Jeez. Don't know. Just look up the standing. They're 5-6. And 4 weeks ago they were a lock, basically. I mean, it's crazy what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then they dismantled Creighton. They dispatched them by 19.
Yeah.
And here we go. It's one of those another stretches. Here's your resume right here. Xavier, Villanova, UConn in the next 10 days.
Yeah, that's true.
There's your resume.
It's true. But looking back, they still have I still think beating Michigan it's not I don't know. It's not a great win because Michigan's not that good, but it's
Still a win.
Still Michigan. I mean, they beat
On the road, right? Or no? Was it neutral?
It was at Michigan.
Yeah.
They beat Texas, which I think that was a neutral court.
Still beating Texas.
So that's a win against Texas. They beat UConn in overtime.
Great team.
What I don't love going to St. John's, beating them, and then turning around 2 days later, having St. John's come to your place and losing by 21. It's just so
that's rough.
Yeah.
Also 52 points to DePaul in a half. And then you score 57 in the half and lose in the second and lose.
I think I remember that because I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was a daily pick. So
I think it was, and you texted me. So
yeah. Yeah, you're right. That one was inexplicable. So
rough day.
I mean, they got nice pieces. Kevin Willard's a good coach. Bryce Aiken he's a good closer. But yeah, their resume is basically their next 3 games, which are all televised. So how much of a difference? I wonder how much of a difference that makes. Getting the exposure in some of these games too.
You can find the games. You live in 2022.
No, you're right.
I bet these people have ESPN Plus. You can find the Ohio Valley Conference on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
You can find Belmont, and then you can compare them to Seton Hall. And you can be like, well, it's one of those things. You can find them.
I'm looking forward to when the tournament starts and you can get every game for free.
Yes. Nah, CBS is gonna pull something and stick it on Paramount Plus. You know they will. You know they will.
I hope they only do that with like the first 4 or something.
Oh my gosh, they're gonna do it with the. Okay, so they've got. This is random. They've got CBS, TNT, TBS. 3 channels.
True TV, which isn't
Yeah, there's a 4th and True TV. Yeah,
which
so
isn't
there's
technically
4.
True TV anymore. I think it's named something else
Yeah.
now.
Still okay, 4,
Yeah.
and then you're not going anymore. I still think they stick something on Paramount Plus. They want the cash grab.
No, you're right.
It's arguably the biggest I mean, it is the biggest multi-week sporting event in the U.S. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, bettors, fans unite.
Mm-hmm.
So
Are you planning on going it? Are you planning on going any of the Greenville games?
I'm gonna try to. I have a final that Friday
Yeah.
that it starts, so it'll be tough.
Is that online or is it you have to be there?
No, I have to be in person. And then like I'm either driving back or catching a flight, either one.
Gotcha.
Either's optimal.
No.
No.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to go to some of these Pittsburgh ones.
I might try and stick it on maybe hit Milwaukee because that's close.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Do you know what games they're supposed to get? Like what the seeds are?
I think again it's all like kind of hindering on the 1, 2, 3, and 4 kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just like that's how I think about it. Like I kind of work through it in my head.
By region.
Yeah. So like I think Illinois is gonna get like either Milwaukee or they're gonna get Indianapolis.
Okay.
Like I think regardless, I think Duke. I think they're gonna be hard pressed to not give Duke Greenville.
Yeah.
Like Auburn, I think is gonna get Greenville, or they'll get. Actually, I don't know where else they get, but for a Texas one, it might be a Texas one.
Maybe. I don't know.
But yeah, so we'll see. Also, would have to save up the money in that regard.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a consideration.
Not cheap.
No, it's not. Last thing before we close, graphic of the year.
Graphic of the year. We got a bracket going.
We're at the point where it's the.
There's enough graphics. We've got a lot. IUPUI blessed us with one today.
Yes, IUPUI is currently reaching out to their student body because they have 5 players on their roster and need guys to finish the season. They're one of the worst teams in Division 1.
219.
So that's kind of a tough look, but they released a graphic for it, which is cool. We also have the Josh Pastner
face shield. Face shield. Yep. We have Joe Lenardi on ESPN going through his bracketology for the ACC and having at what that point was Virginia Tech 3-7 in the ACC still under consideration. That might be my favorite.
That one's good. My favorite might be the Indiana, the OG graphic of the year contender, which is Indiana lost, but the way that their graphic was presented, they made it look like they won.
To Penn State, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the Illinois one. I'm looking at it now. Most top 10 wins. Asterisk. Baylor 10. Illinois 9.
That's an all-time good one. And like also the asterisk being like
last 3 years.
The last 3 years. Yeah. And they weren't even like, yeah. Oh man, that one's so good.
Gosh, it gets so good.
Yeah, all that to say, at this point, like we're
gonna find some more too.
We're actively looking now.
Yeah.
So that'll help. But that should be fun. We'll figure out how to best like present and like do that whole thing when the time comes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, graphic of the year. Shout out IUPUI, because as long as this show is going, you're probably never going to get another one. I'm going to be honest with you.
I mean, yeah, shout out, but also I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. It's a sad shout out.
It's a sympathetic shout out. Like
yeah,
I'm here for you.
It's a pity shout out.
I mean, I'm not here for you if you need me to play. Like
transfer to IUPUI and try.
Oh my gosh, it would be so bad. I'd get cooked. Like I'd be put on skates every play.
Yeah, all you need though are your sickle cell test results and your your student ID, and they'll look at you. So, and a desire to win, a desire to play winning basketball.
Yeah.
That's about it.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, that's gonna do it for us.
It is.
If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, hit the follow button. Rate us 5 stars. We'd love that. Thank you. Follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Gym Range Pod.
Yep.
As soon as this episode is done, I'm going to be posting the new 2020 simulation TikTok.
Elite Eight.
Yeah, we're going to be getting into the Elite Eight. I think there will only be 2 more. I think it'll be the Elite Eight and then
Just gonna run it.
then just run it. Yeah. And just
Elite Eight, Final Four, National Championship, same video.
Yeah. So that'll be that. So yeah, go follow the TikTok if you don't know what I'm talking about. Any final thoughts from you, Alex?
Duke has led in the final minute and 4 in the last 64 seconds of regulation in all of their losses, and somehow found a way to lose them. So I don't know what to make of that. Just sad. And I got out of midterms too. Like I needed to be happy.
It is sad, but I think it's reason for optimism. So
not if it continually happens.
Not if it continually happens. That's fair. Okay. We are leaving this podcast episode optimistic. Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah.